Welcome to class tonight. I do hope that you all are doing very well. Tonight we're going to be covering, we'll be reviewing, more like, a very important topic that I'm sure all of you got really excited about when you first saw it. We're going to be working on elapsed time. Now this is something I know you covered in 3rd grade. You most likely covered it in 4th grade and 5th grade. And unfortunately, you will most likely be covering it again and again. This is a very important math skill. This is very basic for life. So we're going to be working on this today. So let's go ahead and get started. Be very wise to go ahead and turn to page 201 in your book, and you can see that chart that's on the camera here, down here. So you see that chart. That chart is incredibly important because that chart lists for us what are called equivalencies, meaning one thing equals another. For example, 1 minute equals 30 seconds. 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Oh, sorry, one minute equals 60 seconds. 1 hour equals 60 minutes. Those are equivalencies. Now, we're going to use this basic information right there on page 201 to actually name and then rename time. Just like when we did mixed numbers, I showed you that you could name a mixed number in many different ways. You can do the exact same thing with time. Let's go ahead and work on this. So you see some questions on the board. So the first question says, how many seconds are equivalent to 1 minute, 20 seconds? So key ideas here. First of all, we see seconds. Now I have my time right there. So 1 minute, 20 seconds. Well, I know 1 minute equals 60 seconds. And then I'm going to add my 20 seconds. So my final answer is 80 seconds. I rename 1 minute, 20 seconds as 80 seconds. It's the exact same amount of time, but it's just named differently. Let's try 1 or 2 more. Well, actually, 2 more. Alright, so how many minutes are equivalent to 1 hour, 45 minutes? So once again, I'm going to say 1 hour equals 60 minutes. So I know that 60 minutes plus 45 minutes is going to equal 105 minutes. So that's very simple. Now, you won't see questions like this in the book. You'll see questions that are more like that right there. What is an equivalent time to 3 weeks, 5 days? So I need to rename 3 weeks, 5 days in any way possible. Now the nice thing is, you can see in the chart right down here, that I can name it several different ways. I can name it in days, I can name it in, I can name it in hours, I can name it in seconds. It'll be very difficult, but it's still possible. So, the key is we're going to find an equivalent time to 3 weeks, 5 days. So, I know that 1 week equals 7 days. So, 7 days times 3 equals 21 days in 3 weeks, plus 5 days is going to equal 26 days. So I can rename 3 weeks, 5 days as 26 days. Actually, you may not be able to see that. Sorry. Let me try that again. Is going to equal 26 days. Now, I could also name it as hours. I can name it in lots of different ways, but I'm not going to. This is just a very simple way to show you how to use the equivalencies. Alright, so just a heads up, the camera is actually going to go bye-bye now. Alright, so now we have a little more room, and we have a brand new type of problem. Now we're going to be working on elapsed time, specifically finding elapsed time. So there are going to be 2 different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you the book way first. Now the book way says to simply, and now let me point something out, I can only do this because you'll notice they're in the same, they're in the evening. They're both in the evening. If I had one in the evening and one in the morning, I couldn't do that. So the only reason I can do this is because they're both in the evening. So because they're both in the evening, I can actually just subtract them very easily. Now, here's a very wise suggestion. You'll notice 45 is there, and 27 is there. You can't take away, so it would look like this. You can't take away 45 from 27. So you would need to rename. So the book did it like this. This is what the book showed you. The book showed you to take an hour out of this and then add 60 minutes here. So it would look like this. Take an hour out, so it's 4 hours, and then add 60 minutes to 27, like that. Now I can subtract. I have renamed 1 hour as minutes, and now I can subtract, so it's going to look like this. That's going to be 4, it's going to be 3. And so right there I see it as 3:42. So I can do it like that. It only works in some scenarios. Now, if you were in my 3rd grade math class, I showed you this way. That's going to be very helpful. You'll notice I have a clock over here. Let's go ahead and use that clock. So first of all, I'm going to make 1:45. And then I'm going to simply add time. So I'm going to go, all right, that's 15 minutes. So I'm going to write down 15 minutes. So 9 to 12, that's 15 minutes. So that's going to be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, so that's 3 hours. Let me rewrite that one more time. So 15 minutes plus 3 hours. Now I'm right here. Now I need to go to 27, so that's going to be another 27 minutes. So it's going to look like this. 5 plus 7 is going to be 12. 2, 3, 4. Bam. Look at that. I got the exact same answer both ways. But with this way, I used a clock rather than more math. For some of you, this might be the easier way, and use it. I would encourage you to use that. Okay? We're going to do one more just to really make sure we understand this. So now we're going to find the elapsed time between 10:15 and 2:25. Now you'll notice I have an AM and a PM. So it's not really going to work to just subtract them out. It's not really going to work. If you do, it's going to be really, really ugly. You'll actually have to add 12 hours here, and so what it's going to look like is this. 2:25 minus 10:15. Well, obviously you can't do that, so you have to add 12 hours, so it can be 14:25 minus 10:15. Subtract, you're going to get 4 hours and 20 minutes. That's one way to do it. My suggested way would look like this. Start at 10:15. 10:15. Now count the hours. So I'm going to go 15. So that's 45 minutes. Now I'm going to count the hours. So I'm at so 10:15 plus 45 minutes is going to be 11. That's going to be 12. 13. Or well, 1. And then 2. So that's 1, 2, 3 hours. And so now I'm at 2, so I need to go another 25 minutes. It's going to be right there. And so it's going to be another 25 minutes. And so now I simply add them up. So it's going to be 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's going to be, well, I'll put 7 here. We'll talk about that. And then that's going to be 3. Now I can't say 3 hours and 70 minutes. I would say 4 hours and 10 minutes. And I did realize I made a mistake right here, didn't I? I should have had put 10. 2 minus 1 was 10, not 2. That was my fault. So the answer is going to be 4 hours and 10 minutes. You see both ways work, but one way is a great deal easier. Alright, very last objective for today. You guys are going to be working or learning how to use a bus schedule. And once again, this is extremely practical because bus schedules are all over the place, and one day you may need to use one. So let's go ahead and figure this out. So the question says, right here, you arrive at the Glenmont bus stop at 8 o'clock and buy a ticket for the next bus. So a couple times are important. 8 o'clock, and I'm getting a ticket for the next bus. Here is the schedule. So it says buses run every 15 minutes, Monday through Friday. They leave Glenmont this time, well, and we'll keep going, and they arrive at these times. Now you'll notice there's ... That means I didn't fill it in. The bus schedule actually told you, oh yeah, it runs every 15 minutes. So it's going to look like this. 7:40, 7:55, then you would simply add 15 to 7:55. So it would look like this. 7:55 plus 15 minutes is going to be 8:10. So the next bus is going to leave at 8:10. And that's helpful for me because I arrived at 8 o'clock. So the first question says, how long will you need to wait for the next bus? Well, if I'm there at 8 o'clock and the bus leaves at 8:10, I'll be waiting for 10 minutes. Part B says, what time will you arrive at the Reedville bus stop? So once again, buses run every 15 minutes. So now I'm looking at the arrive portion here. So I see 8:15, 8:30, and I'm simply going to add another 15 minutes. So 8:30 plus 15 is going to be 8:45. So you will arrive at the Reedville bus stop at 8:45. I simply use the bus schedule to figure all that out. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is the lesson for tonight. I do hope this is more review and you can use some of your past knowledge to understand this and do well. Obviously, if you have any questions, please bring them into class tomorrow. It would be very helpful to remember to draw a clock and use it. So like the clock I had on my chart, it'd be very wise for you to do something like that as well. Your homework tonight is going to be page 203 and 204, and listen to this. You're going to be doing the multiples of 3 to 15. So in other words, you're going to be doing numbers 3, 6, 9, 12, and 15. Have a great night. We'll see you all tomorrow.